Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, HaRakah, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and shalom to the whole elect. This is a biblical commentary on the book of Luke, the 19th chapter, and it reads, And Yahushai entered and passed through Jericho. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, which was the chief among the publicans, and he was rich. Right, so we know the publicans are basically a modern day bailiffs, as we call them in the UK. Right, and if anyone knows, the reputation of a bailiff isn't a nice one. Basically, they're not liked by the people. They basically come into about big built guys, you know, uh, aggressive or deemed aggressive, that want to take your possessions, and very forthcoming with that. So these people back in the ancient world, they had a lot of leverage with that ability to basically get one up on the people, all right, and basically take their possessions and whatnot. All right, but this man Zacchaeus was chief among them, all right, so that's why he was rich, because that was a area, a field where you basically could make a lot of money, all right, through obviously ill-gotten gains. All right, verse 3, and he sought to see Yahushua who he was. So he didn't know what Yahushua looked like. All right, but he heard of him, but he wanted to see what he looked like, and could not for the press, because he was little of stature. So basically there was a great crowd among Yahushua, and he couldn't see Yahushua because he was small in stature. All right. Verse 4, and he ran before and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way. All right, so he basically forged away, found a way, said, look, okay, he's walking this way, so let me run ahead of the crowd, get up in this tree so I can have, the advantage to basically be able to see him and whatever. Verse 4, and he ran before, verse 5, and when Yahushua came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said unto him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at thy house. All right. So mind you, remember, Zacchaeus wanted to see what he looked like because he'd never seen him before. But when he actually managed to see him and Yahushua came onto him, he called him out by name. All right, showing you the level of spiritual power Yahushua had. This man was a prophet to a great degree. All right, because he was able to, through those words, that he was he knew what he was doing. He was walking in the spirit. All right. And he's the word. The word is all about the testimony of Yahushua, the spirit of prophecy. So that was a testament to Yahushua, to Yahushua, the right spirit, because he said what's gonna happen before it happens. All right. And obviously it's the Lord's will. He ain't doing it to his own will. He's doing it in the will of Yahweh, in the will of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. Right. Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, HaRakah, Kodash. Zacchaeus, verse 6. All right. And he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, they all murmured, saying that he was gone to be a guest with a man that was a sinner. Yeah. Because as Yahushua said before, those that are whole need not a physician. Right. The Lord came for the sinners and the publicans, basically, those that are in need of salvation. All right. And a lot of people, they believe they had their own righteousness, so they didn't need, righteousness they found in the law, which really was a schoolmaster to, to prepare you for the faith in Yahushua, all right? But they didn't see that. They just thought this man's got enough, all right? So it says, verse 8, and Zacchaeus stood and said unto the Lord, Behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor. So remember, we've read before about rich men, how it'll be hard for them to go through. It'll be like a camel going through the eye of a needle, all right? Because it's greatly difficult, all right? But in saying that, Salakia, you had the examples before, I believe in the previous chapter, where he basically spoke of rich men, how basically they'll, sell their goods and follow the Lord, and they couldn't do it. Right? But this man preemptively understanding what the law was about, said he sold half of his goods, and he said he gives to the poor. All right. And if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I restore him fourfold. All right. So if he does any kind of so this man that they judged, he wasn't what they believed he was. All right. He was a different kind of individual, even though that was the arena he played in. Right. He said if he does anything wrong, amiss, he restores it fourfold. All right. Verse 9, and Yahushua said unto him, This day is salvation come to this house, for as much as he also is a son of Abraham. And and through the Spirit, salvation is coming to his house. But the fact that the Lord Yahushua is actually coming to his house, the allegory itself has come to life. The figurativeness of it is come to fruition. All right. And he said, look, he says a common ancestry of us. He's an Israelite. All right. And he's been gained to be of Israel, all right? As it tells you in Romans, they are not all of Israel that are of Israel, but this man truly indeed is of Israel, all right? Because he's going to be saved. So that means he's part of the elect, all right? For the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. Yeah, gain back the lost sheep of Israel. Verse 11. And as they heard these things, he added and spake a parable because he was nigh to Jerusalem, and because they thought that the kingdom of Yahweh should immediately appear. All right. So they thought that he was about to bring the kingdom onto Israel at that moment. All right. So it says, and he said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. All right. So there's a nobleman that said he's got to go to a far country to receive a kingdom, all right? And he called his 10 servants. Number 10 obviously represents perfection, all right? And delivered them £10 and said unto them, occupy till I come, all right? And mind you, in saying that, all right, this is the same as the parable of the talents. So he gave them £10 and said, occupy till I come. But what does it mean by occupy? All right, I believe when you look up the word there, what you find is a word, I'd have to look it up, but I tell you, look it up, all right? But I believe it goes back to the word pragmatic, which means to be businesslike, all right? So that's what occupying means, all right? Occupy till I come. So be businesslike with the money I've given you. Verse 14, but his citizens hated him and sent a message after him saying, we will not have this man to reign over us, all right? So remember that. The Lord said, occupy till I come. But then the citizens that were there hated him and said that they didn't want him to reign over him. All right? So those two things go hand in hand. Verse 15, and it came to pass that when he was returned, having received the kingdom, all right, he went away to receive the kingdom. He gained the kingdom, come back, all right. Then he commanded these servants to be called unto him, to whom he had given the money, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading. All right. So he said, look, I need you lot to make account of what you've done in this day. Then came the first saying, Lord, thy pound have gained £10. All right. So he took that £1 and flipped it and times it by 10. Verse 17, and he said unto him, well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful in very little, have thou authority over 10 cities. Yeah, so much is given, much is required. And you may say, well, how's that? Because he only received £1. Nah, the talent that he had, the ability that he showed to be able to take £1 and make 10 was that much that was given, because he knew he had many gifts in the spirit and basically knew how to flip and, to get that money percolating, baby. Basically, make that money work, hustle up them pounds, all right? Which we're doing the same thing, all right? Verse 18, and the second came, saying, Lord, thy pound have gained £5. So the other brother come along and said, look, the other servant said, the one that you gave me, I made 5, which is a great work in itself. He made it, to make it double was even enough, man, all right? But 5 times, that's some work, all right? And he said, likewise to him, be thou also over 5 cities. So the Lord that was there basically said, look, in order of what you have obtained with the £1 I gave you is what authority I'm going to allow you to establish in my kingdom. All right. And another came saying, Lord, behold, there is thy pound, which I kept laid up in a napkin. All right. For I feared thee, because thou art austere man. Thou takest up where thou laidest not down, and reapest that thou did not sow. Thou didst not sow. All right. So this man said he said he's too scared that he basically just took the pound, put it in a napkin, and just put it aside and said, you know what, I'm not gonna do. I'm just gonna give him back his money when it comes back. All right. And he saith unto him, out of thine own mouth will I judge thee, thou wicked servant. So these servants before that made the money were good servants, but this man was a wicked servant. Thou knewest that I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping what I did not sow. All right. So he understood that. Look, you understand what I'm about. I'm gonna take what I didn't, what from what I didn't, um, taking from what I didn't lay down and reaping from what I did not sow. All right. Verse 23. Wherefore then gavest not thou my money into the bank? He said, you know I'm about getting mine, regardless of the circumstances. What so much more? And you know I'm about getting mine if it don't even, um belong unto me. So what so more if something I've given you that's mine and you're not bringing back the money on top of that. All right. Verse 23. Wherefore then gavest not down my money into the bank? All right. So why do you deposit my p, my pounds? All right. P is UK slang for pounds. All right. Shortening just to one letter, pounds or p's. All right. That at my coming I might have required mine own with usury. So listen, why didn't you give it to the bank? They would have gave you interest on my money. So when I come, you would have gave me mine with the usury. Work, but basically utilize that hustling mentality. All right, make something out of what I've given you. All right. And he said unto them that stood by, take from him the pound and give it to him that have £10. And they said unto him, Lord, he have £10. All right. And think about it. Why would the Lord give him? He say, they think, I'm kind of extrapolating, reading between the lines, and thinking, why would you give more to someone that's already got enough? Why don't you give to the other brother that's got less? No, because he knows that if I give him my one, he's gonna give me another 10, and he's always gonna produce a higher level. So that's why through the Spirit, you get the Heavenly Father basically rest the heaviest burdens on the men that he knows are able, man. As it tells you in the book of Corinthians, you're not like basically you won't suffer more than you're able, all right? Because the Lord, he knows your ability, all right? He knows the talent, the portion of faith that he's given you, all right? So it says, let me read that again and read on. So it says, and they said unto him, Lord, he have £10. For I say unto you that unto everyone which have shall be given, and from him that have not, even that he have shall be taken away from him. All right. So basically, hey, if you've been given it and you don't use it, you don't use it, you lose it. All right, and it gets given unto someone that's more capable. Verse 27. But those mine enemies which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. So what deemed him to say those words? Because remember I read before that you had people that the citizens that said that we will not have him reign over us. All right. And what was indicative of someone not having them reign, the Lord having reign over him? The fact that they didn't do the works of their master, all right, their ruler, all right? That's a show by faith is established by it works, all right? So a showing of the fact that you don't have faith or belief, or you don't regard the king, the ruler over you as a citizen, you're not gonna adhere to the words that he's told you to do. So in not doing that, that's the judgment. All right. That's why he said unto Peter, if you love me, feed my flock. All right. Because that's a real show of love. All right. Actions, the weight of your words are weighed in action, basically. Right. Verse 28. And when he had thus spoken, he went before ascending up to Jerusalem. And it came to pass, when he was come nigh to Bethphage and Bethany, at the mount called the Mount of Olives, he sent two of his disciples, saying, "Go ye into the village over against you, in which at your entering you shall find a colt tied, an ass, a young ass, all right, whereon yet never man sat, all right. Loose him and bring him hither. And if any man ask you, why do you loose him? Thus shall ye say unto him, because the Lord have need of him." All right. So if they ask him, "Yo, why you taking this young colt, the colt?" Then just say these words. All right. And it shows you, hey man, always one of my favorite scriptures, man, in Jude, where Michael took no railing accusation. You know, when they had the dispute over the body of Moses, Michael made no with Satan, Michael and Satan. He said Michael made no railing accusation, but simply said, "The Most High rebuked thee." All right, showing you the power of words. All right, and even that's like, you know, you gotta be, you know, you got power, man. You could say certain things and they really happen. All right, the Lord's given us a power, a piece of spiritual power. All right, and I know from my own experience dealing with this word, there is true power in this word. All right, I've witnessed it firsthand. All right, from my own mouth and from other brothers' own mouth. All right, so you know that shows you the weight of these words. All right, because we have the same spirit. You know, we're not to, you know, the servant is not greater than his master, but the servant ought to be like his master. All right. So in us, in Yahushua exhorting us to be like him, if we're like him, if he's saying we should be like him, then we're gonna enter in, as we are joint. You know, we're ultimately gonna enter in to be in joint heirs with Yahushua. That means we have those same abilities. What did he say unto Peter? Or his disciples at the time, "These things shall ye do and more." All right. And they said all the acts of Yahushua they did. The book, if it was written in a book, the world couldn't contain that book. All right. And then it came to pass that Peter was healing people with his shadow that Yahushua wasn't doing before. All right. So in saying all of that, there's a power in your words. Right. And as we read on, you're going to see that. Verse 36, "And as he went, they spread their clothes in the way." Salak, I skipped a bit. Verse 32. "And they that were sent went their way and found even as he had said unto them. And as they were loosing a colt, the owners thereof said unto them, Why loose ye the colt? And they said, The Lord have need of him." All right. And they brought, when you read this verse 34 in other chapters, it tells you that the men just gave them leave, allowed them to take the colt. All right. And that's the power of the Lord. You know, put the Spirit, told them what to say, and they said it, and they had that power. They unlocked the key, unlocked the door, basically. All right. And they brought him to Yahushua, and they cast their garments upon the colt, and they set Yahushua thereon. All right. And as he went, they spread their clothes in a way. All right. And when he was come nigh, even now at the descent of the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of the disciples began to rejoice and praise Yahweh with a loud voice for all the mighty works that they had seen. All right. And remember, they believed at this time the kingdom was going to be restored in Jerusalem. All right. But this was spiritual nonetheless in what was happening, saying, "Blessed be the King that cometh in the name of the Lord Yahweh, peace in heaven and glory in the highest." All right. And some of the Pharisees, so let me even say this. Yeah, let me say this. So it's befitting that the Lord basically came into Jerusalem in his manner, on a colt, on a young ass. All right. Because if you know anything, you know, young horse, donkey, those really a horse most of the time, or horse symbolizes power. All right. But he came in on when you look it up, it says young horse, donkey, ass. All right. But the point being is that when he comes back, it says he's going to come on a white horse. All right. It didn't say no colt. It didn't say no donkey. All right. No ass. He's coming on a white horse. So he's coming in the fullness of his power, basically. Right. Because we know he's not literally coming on a horse. He's coming in a chariot of the Heavenly Father. All right. The chariots of Israel. right? So he's coming with that true power. But this was figurative in a lesser sense, befitting to the current situation that it was, all right? Being like a figure of things to come. Verse 39. And some of the Pharisees from among the multitude said unto them, Master, rebuke thy disciples. And he answered and said unto them, I tell you that if these should hold their peace, the stones would immediately cry out. All right? So they're saying, look, if these lot held their peace, the stones would start crying out. All right? So what's it saying? That the word can't be stopped. All right? And that's even to show that, look, if Apostle R said this, many moons ago, all right, he basically said that, look, even if all the prophets were to die, man, all right, if there was no one out here prophesying, the stones in the walls or the buildings, and whatnot, stalls, everything will start cursing this place out, man. All right, because what does that mean? It literally means that, but also it established the point that Yahweh or Yahweh Shai, Bar Shamha Rakar Kudash has to be praised, all right? Their praise has to be established, all right? That's why the prophets are established. Jeremiah 28:8, it tells you that the prophets, they always came to curse out these kingdoms, and they got to set up the true reverence of the true powers, all right? Verse 41, and when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it, saying, if thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, all right, being the kingdom, if they knew what belonged unto them, man, they wouldn't even, they're unspeakable things, all right, but now they are hid from thine eyes, yeah, because the Lord put a block. Isaiah 6 tells you that, all right, but even it was put a block. Really, eyes. It tells you, eyes have not seen and ears have not heard what what the Lord has basically got for us in the kingdom. Verse 43: For the day shall come upon thee that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round and keep thee in on every side. All right, and that's the besieging. The Roman Empire, 70 A.D. Masada. Verse 44. And shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. All right, and that means they weren't watching. All right, because the Lord in a few chapters, was about to outline the things to look for. All right, and how to flee for the mountain. But a lot of people are gonna overlook these things, just like in the times of Noah, just like the times we're in now. They're just gonna wake. They wake up one day and they think it's just a regular day. Then they realize what's going on. All right, because hey, the Heavenly Father. I've done multiple videos dealing with Esau dealing with gradualism, but really the Most High deals with gradualism. All right, because he comes like a thief in the night. If you've got eyes to see and ears to hear, you're gonna see that there's a turning of events. All right, but if you haven't, you're just gonna think, oh, it's just like that. But then it's just gonna catch you off guard. All right. So let me read on. So it says, and he went into the temple and began to cast them out that sold therein, and them that bought, saying unto them, it is written, my house is a house of prayer, but ye have made it the den of thieves. All right, because they basically were they were extorting the people. All right, when they had to convert their money, all right, the different currencies that they had into the only currency that was accepted by the Heavenly Father, being a shekel, they were basically using they were doing abominable works. Proverbs the 11th chapter goes into about unjust balances and weights. They were basically doing that. They were thieving from the people. All right, and they had a little money run going, and he taught daily in the temple. But the chief priests and the scribes and the chief of the people sought to destroy him. So he basically was, rubbing them the wrong way, because he basically came to set true order in place, and they didn't like that because they had a good thing going. Verse 48, and could not find what they might do, for the people were very attentive to hearing. All right, so he had the ears of the people. All right, they bought into him heavily. So with that, I pray you're edified. To the next one, I say shalom.